Okay, now for the hardwood parquet flooring. So if the blood is a lot, for sure you'll have to remove the section of the flooring. And for the removal of the section of the flooring, you'll need a pry bar and a hammer for sure. Step two will be to, if it's concrete, then you spray the decontamination agent and scrub the subfloor. Use the paper towels to absorb the excess of the fluids. And you use a brush, a hard brush, and plus the agent to continue until all the blood from the surface is clear. You should rinse it out with the clear water and repeat the steps as needed so that you get the result of the clean state. And then finally, like I mentioned, at the end of the entire process, gently spray in a mist form the decontamination agent onto the surface as you leave. And now if the subfloor is OSB boards or plywood, then what you're going to do is then, check if the blood is still a lot, even on those boards, then for sure that section of the plywood or the OSB boards will also need to be removed. And because, as long as the source of contamination is present, the source of the odor will also be present. So now, but if the subfloor cannot be removed because maybe it's a major part of the structure, then decontaminate and clean to the best of your efforts. Now, if the blood is not a lot on the same hardwood parquet flooring, as in a natural death, maybe the owners only want the surface to be done, then step one, spray the decontamination agent liberally and let it sit for 2 to 5 minutes only. Because too much time spent for the liquid sitting on the floor will make the wood warp. Step two, use paper towel to soak up the fluids. Step three, use a brush or a scrubber, hard brush, scraper to get off the sticky fluids. And step four, gently rinse out with clear water by spraying and wiping the excess with a paper towel. And step five repeats step 1 to 4 until the area is all clean. And step 6, as I mentioned, gently spray the agent onto the surface. Just to repeat, this is for if the owner or the tenant doesn't want the flooring to be removed, or the client only wants the surface to be done. Now, concrete surface flooring. So first of all, guys, you have to understand that concrete floor is porous in nature. And most of the time when you are being called for concrete flooring cleanup, it'll be either a basement, which is unfinished, or it'll be a garage, which is again having concrete floor, or exterior surfaces like maybe a sidewalk, or the outside patio section, or maybe a commercial area section. So when you have to deal with the concrete floor, you are dealing with the surface level stuff. So again, I have not mentioned in this past or repeated this in the past, but you have to remember that anytime you start the work, before you start the cleaning process, remove any items which are contaminated, which are contents like maybe the bedding, the clothing, shoes, which cannot be salvaged. They should be disposed of. And then you start your work. So step one is spray the decontamination agent liberally and let it sit for 10 minutes. As I mentioned in the past as well, guys, that you should be using hot water. As much as hot water you use, the easier your work will be, with the tablets or if you're using the liquid format. Second of all, use a hard brush and a scrubber. Now use the hard brush with a long handle so that, again, you're not anywhere close to the surface. So use a hard brush to get off the sticky parts. Sometimes, you will have to crouch down and use a scraper. But even the scraper, you can use a long-handled scraper to get the stuff out. Then use a paper towel to pick up the debris and the fluids. And then rinse out with clear water. Now, for sure, if you're dealing with concrete flooring, depending on how long was the body there or how much blood was over there, this few steps, step 1 to 4, you'll have to repeat many times until you get to the level where the work is satisfactory. Because of such concrete's porous nature, once the area is stained, the stain will not come off. Blood, as I mentioned, is having fatty oils, so the oils, once they penetrate the surface, the stains will not come off. So again, before you start work, you should mention this to the client that, hey sir, or hey ma'am, that before I just want to let you know that what to expect. So basically, before you start work, if you were to let the person know what to expect at the end of the work, then you'll be having less problems later on, because you're setting the expectation right and working towards the expectation. And So, and then finally, as you're finishing up the work, spray the decontamination agent onto the surface as you leave. A final point I wanted to mention that this concrete flooring cleanup, we do not use a pressure washer, because if you use a pressure washer, the fluids will go everywhere. Becomes out of control. Control the area. You contain the area where you're working at. You make sure that the fluids are not running all over, right? So do not use a pressure washer for concrete flooring cleanup, even if it's outdoors. Okay, next, laminate surface cleanup process for death cleanups is exactly the same as hardwood flooring. In case of a lot of blood, you have to remove the section of the flooring. Then, because the laminate flooring, most of the time, they're just stuck or locked onto each other. If you start to remove one section, the other ones will come off easy. So in case of very less blood, do the surface decontamination, just exactly like how it is for the hardwood flooring. Vinyl surface cleanup process. Now, vinyl surface of flooring as such is pretty much plastic. And plastic is generally non-porous, but also it can be porous under certain conditions, as they have micro cracks or imperfections. So when in doubt, offer the client to remove this section of the flooring. If the client insists that he doesn't want to remove it, then do the same process as if for the tiles cleanup. And that's it. So pretty much we've gone through all the different surfaces that you're going to come across in your journey as a crime scene cleanup, death cleanup, and that's all the different scenarios you're going to face. So different timelines, and we mentioned 24 hours, 48 hours, 7 days, 1 month, more than 1 month, and the different surface types: concrete, laminate, hardwood, vinyl, carpet. And then, like the cleanup process, pretty much it is about using a scraper, using a brush, hard brush, to get the excess part out, the dried up stuff, whatever it is. Use paper towels. The reason we use paper towels and not rags is so that you can just dispose of them. You don't want to keep on using the same rag over and over. It's very unhygienic, as I would say. It's much better to use paper towels. And then, and then in terms of, like we mentioned, for floor removal, if you have to cut out let's say the carpet, then for sure you need a blade, carry a blade. It's also very easy. If the client wants the entire carpet to be cut out and thrown out, then just start from the edge of the room. The edge of the room, already you will find, if you have also a pry bar, you can see that the carpet can just be easily pulled out if you're starting from the edge of the room. And if you're removing the section of the laminate flooring or the hardwood flooring, then start from the panels where they're sticking onto each other, between the gaps. That's the easiest part to start removing the section of the hardwood or the laminate flooring. Use a pry bar, use a hammer, and then for the decontamination process, you're gonna make sure you're using your agent. Make sure that you're using hot water, so that you want to make your process easier for yourself. Not a lot of scrubbing you have to do if you use hot water. And then, of course, you have your scrubbers, green scrubber, steel scrubber, close to you, so that you don't have to go running to your car to get the supplies. Now, next video we'll cover feces cleanups, wildlife feces, human feces, and also rat, mice feces. So see you then.